Welcome to the Orange Couch Talks, a deeper dive from our leaders into our recent teachings.
Hey guys, welcome to our next episode of Orange Couch Talks. My name is Andrew. I'm the campus pastor in Phoenix. I'm here with TC, our Levine campus pastor. And just a few weeks ago, we kicked off this new series called Searching. And how we kind of introduced it and talked about it is that during this past year of COVID, it didn't create all these problems of what we're searching for, what we're missing in our lives, but it certainly revealed them. And it brought a lot of things to life. And man, I'm really excited. We're less than 2 weeks when this drops, barely over a week from Easter.
Excited and kind of scared at the same time.
What are you scared about?
Here. It's just here, man. Like, I feel like in past years, it's like you spend like months and months planning for Easter. And this year we were like, we don't know if we're going to be able to do Easter or not.
Yep.
So, okay, March is here. We should plan Easter. So it's a lot less time than I'm used to for Easter planning.
And not know what to expect. Last year we were totally online. And really, probably the entire country was totally online for Easter. So being back in person for it, it's like, there's a lot of unknown factors of what is it going to look like this year.
I feel like Easter last year was my first service I watched across church.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because it was right before you kind of came on board, right?
Yeah, I was supposed to interview like the week before Easter. It was the week we were supposed to fly out to interview was the week they shut everything down.
That's crazy.
Of course this is what happens. They shut the whole country down because of me. So.
Well, on this Easter, we're ending this series Searching, and what topic are we going to hit?
For Easter, we're really focusing on hope. I mean, you can see on all of our social channels that the theme of Easter is hope for the city. And we're very excited because, you actually see it a lot of churches right now. The theme of the year is hope because we're missing a lot of hope. And the source of hope is a relationship with God. So we want to hammer that and really focus on the hope that we can find in Christ. But the series is also focused on there's three things that people will say really form motivations for people in life, combination of those three things. That's significance, it's security, and it's relationships. And so the series is trying to hit on each of those things because we're each motivated to some degree by that acceptance or relationships, by trying to find significance or secure and make ourselves safe. And so we've been trying to hit on those three topics. And Pastor Jackie, I'm guessing you at Phoenix, started the series talking about significance, meaning, and purpose. But this last week, we covered peace. The kind of, if we're looking for security, having peace is really the best way to be secure, I guess, in yourself. So kind of walk us through what was some of the stuff you guys talked about at Phoenix.
Yeah, and I'll kind of back up to that first week. We've almost... And we're working in kind of reverse order in some of these topics where we started with that purpose or significance. And it's like really to have a true significance and purpose that you're focused on, you do need to have some peace in your life. It's like when you're young and it's like, what do I want to be when I grow up? And you ask a kid that and every day it changes, right? Like one day they want to be a dinosaur. One day they want to be a firefighter.
It's
one
hard
day
to pass up dinosaurs.
I know. Like we're going to have a dinosaur party for my son this weekend. So he's pretty stoked.
I'm excited for him.
I know. We won't have any real dinosaurs, but maybe
Gosh, you're missing an opportunity there.
But it's like we can't, and even I think a lot of people go through this in college or like right after high school. It's like, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. It's almost like you have chaos to your life, but it's like when there's peace in your life, it gives you more focus to say, okay, here's what I'm working towards. And then as we're going to go to next week, so we're going to skip ahead, then we'll come back to peace. We talked about peace, but to have true peace in your life, you need community, you need relationships, you need people, because if you're just by yourself, you're going to drive yourself crazy. And then ultimately, to have that community we have in our church is built around the hope of Jesus Christ. So we're kind of like working this backwards in kind of like this fun way. But this week we did talk about peace, and the story we hit on was in Mark 5, talking about a demon-possessed man who was at war with society and people, but also at war within himself. And man, there's, I think, a lot of I don't know how many demon-possessed people we have walking around. I'm sure there are people. But there is a lot of similarities in just this idea of at war in society right now and at war internally What are some of those things that you think are glaring right now that we see on a large scale? There's a lot of unrest and chaos, and then even small scale with people that they're dealing with that is causing unrest.
I wasn't prepared for this.
I just try to keep you on your toes.
You are. Man, I mean, we've talked a lot, both on our offices, with each other, even on here. You know, there's the big major things that happen all throughout 2020 with the political unrest, the racial unrest, the health unrest, I guess. You know, there's been a lot of stuff, and this year definitely adds to it. That we all knew it was crazy to think, but we all kind of hoped that January 1st it would all be done, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so now it's like, okay, it's not. Although things are improving, I mean, it's been awesome to see. You know that some more and more vaccinations are happening. There's less and less fear because of that taking place. So there's exciting things in that, but it's also left this big wake behind it and this void behind it of, you know, what do we do now because life has been interrupted the way before?
Yeah.
And we try and fill that with a lot of different things that are just causing a lot of stress and problems. It was funny, I was looking online yesterday that with the release of the newest round of stimulus checks, that there's been 2 places in our economy that have seen the biggest boost because of that.
I'm scared of what this is.
It was athletic shoes and
get those swaggy shoes.
Clothing. Those were the 2 things. And it's just interesting to me that, like, with all the stuff, like, I mean, for me, I would be thinking new TV, but, like, you know, we're excited to get out again and do something, and we want to look fresh when we do it, apparently. But, I mean, we're trying to fill this void of I guess, isolation by being out around people, and that's good. It's good to reconnect, but you want to reconnect with the right people and in the right ways. So, I don't know if I answered that question, but I said stuff.
Well, and I think, and again, there might be some leaps, but I think we're seeing almost increasing fallout. Like every week, something's happening. Like that's tragic and crazy, and we don't know. You know, the investigation's still out on the Atlanta shootings. We are fresh off of. We're filming this on Tuesday. Just yesterday, we had the shootings in Boulder in a grocery store, and it's like there is all this tragedy happen and these horrible events. And I got to think at the heart of a lot of this is some mental illness. Is some hurt, is some unresolved issues that are not being dealt with. And I think that is going to be one of the next wars we wage. And I think we need to kind of help speak in the process of, as Christians, as a church, is we're seeing COVID numbers go down, vaccines are spreading, all that is great. But it's like when you come out, and I always heard this in Seattle, my friends live in Seattle, is it would rain all the time and you'd be indoors. And people wouldn't get depressed when they're indoors. They get depressed when all of a sudden they see the sun. And like chemically it was weird imbalance of like they've lacked this whole time. And then they come out to it, it's almost overwhelming. And it's like now that we're escaping COVID and getting out to the community, there's been like, it's overwhelming in some ways. Now we're just thrown out into people. And now we got to figure out how we can deal with it.
And let me tell you, for introverts, that's even double all that stress with going around people. It's like, I mean, the last year has been like introverts' opportunity to be their true selves. It's been fantastic, right? And then now it's like
Zoom calls and Netflix.
I know, it's been great. And then now, like those social muscles that introverts had to, you know, force all the time have atrophied. And it's like, oh gosh, you want me to come over and see you face to face now? That can be overwhelming in and of itself.
I agree. It's so funny, like just seeing how different people deal with it. I'm about to turn 30 on Friday, which I'm not super happy about. But we had a little like birthday dinner with some friends, and like I had like almost we had to do 2 different groups because it was too big. But like I had some that were just like introverts and staying there and didn't move, and then the rest of us were like all like up and around, and like we're the extroverts and playing ping pong and cornhole and stuff. And it's like I think there's going to be a societal clash of seeing people come together and how do we deal with it. So maybe what are some practical steps where the church can step in and kind of help be a peacemaker in this time?
I think what you just said is super interesting though, because we've spent the last year mostly in our own heads and on social media, right? And it's
Scary
a lot of
places to be.
Seriously, and it's been a lot. There's been a lot of guess, hostility on social media, because it's easier to be hostile to somebody when you don't see them. So when
I could type LeBron James and say, "Hey, punk, put up better stats. Like, you're a loser," and that's when you don't have to see the
he probably wouldn't take that as well, face to face. So, I mean, part of me is hoping that we all get around each other and that kind of normalizes some of the hostility. Yeah. But part of my fear as well is that we've spent a year getting like amped up on our frustration. So what is that going to do whenever there's people that we can unleash that frustration on? So I think peace is an important discussion, because not only do we all need it in normal life, but we need it in these uncertain seasons moving forward. And so the church needs to step in and first help teach what peace is. I think sometimes we think peace is something we can grab and sprinkle onto a situation and it's better. But peace really has nothing to do with our circumstances at all. I mean, I think what peace really is, to define it, is that peace is whenever we root ourselves in something stable and secure, and the only thing that is God. I mean, nothing else is stable. I was just talking about with a friend on the phone yesterday they're going through a challenging season in their faith, and they're saying, I'm trying to find proof and facts and reasoning behind what the Bible says, which is excellent. I mean, we're told to love the Lord our God with all of our heart, with all of our mind, and with all our soul and strength. Like, you don't need to check your brain at the door to follow God. And so I was glad he's asking these questions. But I said to him, like, ultimately, man, it's going to take faith to believe one way or the other. If the pandemic taught us anything, experts and PhDs disagreed and were confused in what to do for us to move forward in the pandemic. You're going to have faith to believe really anything. And so I think for us to place our faith in God, to say, this is what I'm going to build my life on, this is what I'm going to trust, that is peace. And we have to work at peace. We've got to do things to grow closer to peace. We've got to spend time knowing God better. We've got to spend time trusting Him and trying to build our life and our foundation around Him. We got to build community around us that can help us whenever we are feeling very unpeaceful, to be able to find peace. I mean, there's a lot of steps that need to be taken, but it really all comes back to the idea that your circumstances cannot be what generate peace. Whenever everything's checked off, whenever everything's good, that's not what peace is. That's just a lack of chaos in that moment. Because let's be honest, like, if you're saying, I will have peace whenever my kids go to bed on time, whenever my bank account is good, whenever everybody's health is good in our family, whenever I've gone to the gym the amount that I think I need, whenever people respect me the way that I want, whenever my car is running, whenever everything, if it's this long list of stuff in order to find peace, you're never going to have it.
Absolutely.
It's not about something that you attain or a lack of something. It's about a relationship with a stable foundation in God.
Mm-hmm. And that's what, I mean, it's just, peace is almost like a discipline, just like exercise, just like managing your finances. I always hear, like, people are like, oh, I can't give or I can't save because I have no money. I'm like, once you get that money, you're not going to do it. If you don't build the practices now, it's not going to change when the situation changes. It's like, stimulus checks just went out. We just mentioned that. Everyone got their Biden bucks. And it's like, if you sucked with money before you got the Biden bucks, guess what? Those aren't going to go to anything great. You're not all of a sudden like you have $0 in your bank account because you spend everything you have. All of a sudden you're not going to be like, I'm going to save every cent of this and I'm going to like save for the future. It's like, it's going to go quick. And it's like, I think peace is the same way. Like you said, it's like, are we doing what we can now? Even in the midst of trial, are we filling ourselves with the right thing now, no matter what season comes? And I think it really goes back to our story with the demon-possessed man, is what we talked about is he was filled with a legion of demons, but a lot of times we're filled with a legion of crap and stuff and the wrong stuff. And if we're filled with that instead of filled with God, then we aren't going to have peace, and we are going to experience that chaos.
I think too that whenever we experience chaos, a really easy question to ask is, why did God do this to me? I mean, and you know, I wish I could say, God never does anything to us that isn't good. I mean, He's got everything He does is good. But sometimes that good stuff that He does feels horrible, right? I mean, there's instances in the Bible where it's like,
He allows it to happen, like Job.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, wow, God really liked Job, and Job's life was, I mean, as bad as it can get for a while. And and I was talking to another friend the other day about this, and just said, man, the reality is that if you only appreciate and follow God whenever God does exactly what you want, that's not really a relationship. That's not really faith. That's just like, all right, cool, cha-ching, God gave me exactly what I want. As long as you obey me, God, I'm in. And that's not how it works. That's not how any healthy relationship works. But that's not how it works with the creator of the universe either. That God will take us into seasons that are challenging because of the next season that's coming in our life. And that peace develops as we gain more and more spiritual muscle, right? I mean, I was telling this friend, because they said, back in high school, I had this great relationship with God. And I said, what big life concerns did you have in high school? Like, I was mostly like, man, I really hope that cute girl will, notice me. That was my big high school concern, right? I'm really glad she didn't, because I did way better for myself and where I am now. But that was my big life concern in high school, and I had a faith that it was a faith that matched that level and stage and maturity in my life, and it was a special time. I look back on my high school years and my relationship with God fondly, but it was a very naive faith. And as I've grown in my relationship with God, the challenge that I've faced, the issues that I've had to walk through, if I still had that faith that I idealized back in high school, now I wouldn't be able to conquer anything that I face in my life, because my issues, the challenges, especially of 2020 and 2021, there's no way high school TC's faith could have measured up for those things.
Absolutely.
God had to build spiritual muscle through me and the challenges that I faced all the way to now to be able to survive, not just in my relationship with Him, but in the challenges of my life. And so God allows those things to happen. Peace is not a lack of conflict. It's how to trust and navigate that conflict through God.
And I totally agree. So we say that finding peace, no matter your situation, no matter the environment, is trusting in God, having faith in Him in that situation. And then I think kind of the second practical point, I think that leads into this, is we're going to talk about this week, is having a community and having people around you that can help you calm that storm, and that can help you, or at least chill and kind of process it, because you're going to have those hard times. This past weekend and Sunday, we've had a guy who's been coming to our church for a couple months, and something's not right. We know something's not right. He's had a pretty rough past. So whether kind of some drug use or mental health, we've seen it. We've been watching him. So literally a group of us, like some of our leadership and guys, kind of grabbed him before service and had a conversation with him. And we're like, dude, something's wrong. Like, we want to help you move forward in this. We want to help you find peace in your life, because we know there's just something not right in just the conversations he has. And so we're connecting with his family and trying to do some things. But it's like, if you don't have people in your life, and when like that see something and call something out in your life, then it will be chaotic. And one of the things we said, we're like, when you notice 6 of us are saying something, it's not just, it's not like crazy out of the blue. But we can have blinders on in our own life, and we can have chaotic moments where we can, be going down the wrong path if we don't let people speak into our lives and have kind of that brother or sisterhood around us that helps keep us grounded.
And I like that you pointed out 2 different forms of that community that's needed. Both that community when you're struggling, when you're like, hey, help me process this. This is what I'm going through. What do you think? How do I handle this? That's so important to have. I mean, the Bible says in the presence of many counselors there is wisdom. And so to be able to have those people that you can say, hey, I have no idea what to do. What do you think I should do? And it's people that you trust, that you've seen them navigate things well in their life before. It doesn't just mean your buddies from high school or college. I'm like, yeah, man, we would get wasted together. How do you think I should handle it? Oh, yeah, that's probably not. But so whenever you know that you're facing an issue, the people in community can get. But you also need that community for your blind spots. Those spots that you don't know that you got, because everybody has them. Every single one of us. And just, I know for me, I've had friends.
Glasses.
Helps. I've had friends confront me in the past and share some things and help me see some areas of my life that I didn't want to see. And I don't think that was probably the only blind spot I'm ever going to have. And the reality is, in those blind spots, you don't know it's not like you're like, I'm just going to ignore it. Like, you've got to have somebody not just point them out, but kind of shake you for you to actually deal with it. Because we don't want to admit that we all got stuff that we need to deal with.
Yeah.
And so you need that community, those people that love you enough to say, hey man, listen, you're a pain in the butt sometimes. So, but we want to help you with that. Good. I want to become a better me, and I got to have the people around me to help me do that because I can't do it on my own.
And I think that's where, like, what we're closed with, and I think just kind of the charge we have, that's how we apply it personally. But then our responsibility as the church is, what I loved about the story of the demon-possessed man is the world literally cast him out. They threw him to a tomb and said, go hang out with dead people because no one alive wants to be around you. Mm-hmm. He was at war with society and he was at war with himself. And really his war with himself made him at war with society. And instead of helping him, they cast him aside. And a lot of people are being cast aside right now. And our job as the church, and following Jesus's example, is we should have a passion to go to our world, to go to our friends, to go to our neighbors, to go to the outcasts of society who really don't have anywhere else to turn to. Mm-hmm. And the church and Jesus Christ can be their source of hope. And that's what I hope you can pray for as we march towards Easter, that God allows us and uses us as a vessel to bring that hope to our communities, to bring that hope to our city. So thank you guys for joining us today. Keep tuning in, keep praying, and we'll see you this weekend.
Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe, and don't forget to go out and make Jesus known.